The first time Sam Claflin performs, I'm just like, this guy hasn't been doing this for his entire life. So like, that's really hard to do, to make it that believable for an actor who's so well known at taking these roles, these book adaptations, as you know, and making it his own. Hey everyone, welcome back to Canon Cinema. I'm Amanda, otherwise known as AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. Today I will be reviewing the new Amazon Prime Video series, Daisy Jones and the Six. Now, the first 3 episodes are out on Prime Video, and I highly suggest that you get Prime Video. So now my new role for Maud's book club, I work with Maud Garrett, and I needed to be held accountable for reading more, and this is all on her. So I've been reading more, I'm ahead of schedule, and my goal was to read a book a month, and Daisy Jones and the Six was one of the books that I decided to read ahead of the show, ahead of the series, and I fell in love with this book. Taylor Jenkins Reid is a very strong writer, and she knows how to build the anticipation with romance. And I think that the best aspect of Daisy Jones and the Six is that there are different types of love and different types of relationships that kind of flourish and you don't expect them to. She explores that. And the other thing about the book is that because it's about this band, Daisy Jones and the Six, you know, they broke up, and we see the before of what happened and what led up to the breakup, and it's in this like mockumentary style that I really enjoy because you get a different perspective of what had happened in the band from each of them. So doing like an interview with each member, they all have like little pieces that they add. You kind of piece the story together in different ways because of the way the different characters speak and how they would see this experience with Daisy Jones and the Six as a band. I think that's what's so awesome about this. And I love that it's still following that format. Of course, it's hard to translate what Taylor Jenkins Reid did in the book, just because it is a full like script format that goes back and forth. But it also highlights like chunks of time between these band members and, you know, how they came up, how they came to be, how they found each other, and how they started. So I think that the first 3 episodes of Daisy Jones and the Six do capture the essence of the book, but I do feel like there's just something missing within the first 3 episodes. I think that there's not that like that zestiness and that cheekiness that came with the words in the book versus what they wrote for the series. It could change for the next couple episodes because we get to know these characters a bit more. I mean, Sam Claflin plays Billy Dunn and Will Harrison plays Graham Dunn. So the two of them, they're brothers, they're from Pittsburgh, they want to start a band. But the first thing that we see with Billy is that he's kind of reluctant. He doesn't want to be the leading man. He doesn't want to even listen to his brother play with his friends because he's older. He thinks that, you know, he has better things to do than like just tag around and like listen to them and help them out. So like Billy, who's very headstrong, very determined, he takes matters into his own hands. He's like, if we're going to do it, we're going to do it right. And I'm going to be doing it with you guys. So he injects himself into this band, and they're called the Dunn Brothers because out of all of them, there are 2 brothers. And of course, you have Warren and you have Eddie tacked on. So you have your drummer and your bass player, and they become a band. They start playing, they start writing songs, and Billy's extremely talented. And you can tell that he has like that rock star persona. He has the long curly hair. He has just the look and the feel of a frontman. And then when you hear him sing, it's such like a soft voice, but at the same time, and this is where Sam Claflin comes in, who is not vocally trained. He's not vocally trained. He lied on his resume and he overstated how musically inclined he was. But for the role of Billy, he had time to kind of sit with a vocal coach and learn how to play guitar and get a feel of what it's like to be in an artist's body. And you can see that come through within the first episode. The first time Sam Claflin performs, I'm just like, this guy hasn't been doing this for his entire life. So like that's really hard to do, to make it that believable for an actor who's so well known at taking these roles, these book adaptations, as you know, and making it his own. And he really nailed it. He embodied Billy Dunn. And when you read the book and you look at Sam Claflin, the way, you know, that they changed his hair and makeup and the way they dressed him, and the way he moves and talks, he really nailed the character and made it his own. And I think that's why it's so believable. So you have these two brothers, they're on the road, they're trying to book some gigs, but they have some, you know, they have some issues with their dad. Their dad kind of abused them, and he walked out on them and had this like whole other life outside of their family. So Billy kind of grew up without a dad. Graham was too young to kind of know what it felt like to have a dad. So realistically, he looked up to Billy quite a bit. And that's a lot of responsibility to put on an older brother, on an older sibling who doesn't have that proper guidance himself. So he doesn't know how to kind of pass that down to his brother and shape him in that way. But he does it in a brotherly manner instead of a fatherly manner, which does help Graham at the end of the day. The one thing that I have to say is that the relationship between Billy and Graham in the series is 10 times better than what it is in the book. I think that there's more of an emotional connection to these brothers. You can see that they love each other, even though they're so different, and they're always going to be there for each other. This is only the first 3 episodes. I haven't watched the rest yet, but it's just the fact that the dynamic really changed, and you kind of want to see Graham and Billy succeed and kind of root for them. And I like that they made that small change, because in the book, they're kind of at odds, and you see that Graham feels that he's in his brother's shadow quite a bit, and he doesn't know how to come out of it. I really like that Eddie, who's played by Josh Whitehouse, is this band member who thinks that he's better than just being a bass player. So he puts his 2 cents in and riles Billy up a bit, not to the extent that he does in the book, because Eddie just has a mouth on him. But there are little things that you see in the interviews that creep out, that make those little moments in the past, makes you think of what this character is trying to do in the band, and why he's important, and why he thinks he's so entitled to getting more than what his position is in the band. I think Warren's hilarious. He's played by Sebastian Chacon, and he's hilarious. He just has like these one-liners thrown in, and you could tell that he's just like, I'm drumming, I'm staying here, I'm doing whatever drugs I want, and the madness can happen, I'm gonna just stay out of it. So we're introduced to this band. They try their best to perform, but they're in Pittsburgh. What are they gonna do in Pittsburgh? They do meet a talent manager, which he lied to them, named Rod, played by Timothy Oliphant. I'm just so happy he's in the show. And he's kind of like, listen, guys, this is one night after a show, after a gig. He's like, what are you guys still doing in Pittsburgh? You know, the Magic's in Los Angeles on the Sunset Strip. Like, that's where you got to go. So while all that happens, Billy meets Camilla. And I am just so in love with Camilla Morone, because she's just pure sunshine. And what she does for Billy is just so powerful that when they meet in that laundromat, it's just this natural chemistry where you're gonna like fall in love with both of them. And Billy ends up falling in love with Camilla, but she is just so tough. She's such a tough cookie. She knows what she wants. She goes to get it, but she also keeps this band together. She is the heart of Daisy Jones and the Six, or realistically, the heart of the Dunn brothers at first. So the love that's shared between Camilla and Billy, you really do think that they're like inseparable in the first 2 episodes of this. And I just love that we got to see that form of a relationship where you have 2 individuals who are so sure of themselves, not kind of like cocky or arrogant, because Billy's really shy when he approaches Camilla. He doesn't have that that rock star, like, oh my God, I can get any woman that I want. Like, he doesn't have that. He's not confident like that, but he's confident when he sings on stage, which is amazing. So he has that kind of like boyish charm to attract Camilla. They prove in these first 3 episodes that love is very difficult to navigate. These relationships are difficult to navigate. So when Billy tells Camilla that he's like, I gotta go to Los Angeles. We're gonna take the Volkswagen and go to Los Angeles. I have to do this for my career. At first, Camilla's like, I can't believe you're doing this to me. I don't want to lose you. To I'm all in for you. I'm coming with you even for my own career as a photojournalist. You know, she wants to be there with him and support him. So despite what her parents say, which I think is an absolutely crazy move, but it's the 70s, she goes with Billy to Los Angeles. We go to LA, we cut to Daisy Jones. Now, Riley Keough is royalty. The woman is royalty. She comes from the Presley family. And Lisa Marie had a beautiful, raspy voice. We know the voice that Elvis Presley had. And Riley just came out of nowhere with these vocal abilities, because obviously she doesn't consider herself a singer. She kind of like trained with her mother before she had passed, and her mother was very adamant about taking this role, and you know, she's very grateful for that. And you could see that it's so weird that Riley Keough feels so at home in herself and so confident in her voice that it's just such a beautiful development for her to tap into another creative outlet that she can kind of relate to her mother and to her grandfather. Like, it's amazing that that could have even happened. So she taps into that artist mindset, and Daisy Jones is technically who Stevie Nicks is. It's a mixture of Stevie Nicks and Linda Ronstadt and, you know, the women from the 70s who they exuded this confidence. They knew what they wanted, and they were brilliant songwriters. And the whole point of Daisy Jones is that she wants to be taken seriously. She doesn't want to be a muse. She wants to be the somebody. She wants to be somebody. She doesn't want someone else to write songs about her or steal her ideas. And that's what it felt like back then as a woman in the industry. You don't get the same opportunities as, like, you know, white men in a band. How many bands made a record and then you never heard from them again, or you had made a demo and then you never heard from them again? Like, it's just crazy how many times men have the opportunities, but when women have ideas, it's kind of like, yeah, we're going to steal that and not credit you. And that's what ended up happening with Daisy Jones. But she is a little firecracker. And Daisy had a rough childhood. She had parents who didn't believe in her. She had parents that didn't encourage her. And she knew that she had this voice and this ability to tap into her emotions properly and write down all these gorgeous song lyrics, you know, and no one wanted to hear them. It's heartbreaking. She didn't have that family unit where you felt supported in what you wanted to do in your life. And Riley Keough plays it so beautifully. She's a bit spunky. She's in your face, but she has an odd sense of humor. Of course, she would smoke, she would do cocaine, she would drink a lot, but it's all a part of this creative process in the 70s. It's almost like you're not going to knock the fact that maybe they did take a pill or two, or they did, you know, smoke up a bit, or they did do drugs, or they were alcoholics, because it was the 70s. It's the time that it was in, that it was more so like freedom, power, and like it was more accepted back then, whereas now you're seeing it as an actual problem. And they didn't know how to handle it back then. They didn't have the right facilities that were exclusive to people that even knew how to get help. And they show the beginning of what happens with Daisy, but she keeps trying, and she's like, I don't want to be put in a box. I don't want people to tell me how to write my songs. I don't want people to tell me how to make music. This is what I have in my head. I know I'm that good. I'm going to do what I want. And she even says that to the producer of Teddy Price. And then this is where it comes together. As the Dunn brothers get to Los Angeles, they start looking for a keyboardist. And of course, they find Karen Serko, played by the lovely Suki Waterhouse, who knocks it out of the damn park. Literally knocks it out of the damn park. She's fantastic as Karen. Even though she doesn't have that much screen time, with, you know, what she has to work with, she is a scene stealer every single time. So they hire her. And now she's part of this band. And she's the only one who's ballsy enough to be like, well, I don't like the name of the band. Why are we still called the Dunn Brothers if there's only 2 brothers? I'm not your brother. So they change it. They change it to the 6. Teddy Price walks out of a supermarket, and it so happens that Billy was walking out of it too. And Graham says, listen, Teddy Price is in there. You got to go talk to him. So Billy works his magic. He's like, listen, I really want, to show you what we have. And Teddy was blown away by it. So Teddy was trying to get Daisy to sign on, but then he signed Billy first. And Daisy had her own, her own things to work through. She's living with her best friend Simone, who's played by Nabiya Bey, and I think she's absolutely adorable. She's kind of like in the disco feel, completely different than the folk music, the rock music that was coming out back at that time. But I love their friendship because they're just uplifting each other and they're there for each other. And I really enjoy the fact that like Simone's bringing Daisy to these parties because she's a bit more in the industry than Daisy is, but Daisy's just herself. She's like, I'm gonna have fun, I'm gonna party, I don't really care about the rest of these people. If they're important, I'm gonna talk to them. But it's just the fact that she's not fake. She's the most honest person at these parties, and you could see that with Daisy, and Riley just plays it so like nonchalant. She's aloof. She's very chill. She has the chillest vibe, but she's so warm and inviting at the same time. And that's Daisy Jones. So out of the 3 episodes, Camilla and Billy are, they're together, and she ends up getting pregnant. Camilla gets pregnant, and this is where it starts to get rocky a bit. They already have their first album. They're touring. Teddy's really happy, and Camilla gets pregnant. Billy loses his mind. He didn't have a father, so how is he going to parent a little girl? Loses it, goes to a downward spiral, and you see that he is starting to drink much heavier than he did before. He's drinking like straight out of the bottle. He has a flask. He's putting it in his coffee. He's drinking at all hours of the day to keep himself distracted from the fact that he's going to be a father. He can't handle this. So Camilla isn't really in the picture while they're on tour, obviously. And on tour, Billy gets a bit wild. He starts like sleeping with other women. He's doing like tons of drugs. He's drinking every night. He's going on stage, blitzed out of his mind. And in the book, he taps into different drugs that would have put him on an even worse path and maybe have even killed him. So the one thing that is different from the show to the book is that they highlight the drug use and the addiction way more in the novel. And I think they just brushed it in the show. And I think it would have been a bit more effective if we showed the downward spiral with Billy, just to see how and why he was doing that. But I also think that less is more also worked. I'm kind of in the middle of it. I think because I know how bad it got in the book for Billy, I would have liked to have seen that. But at the same time, it makes sense to show Camilla's side of it, where she's on the phone with Billy. Billy's like incoherent, doesn't know what he's saying. He's spiraling even on the phone, forgets that he already called her, does not sound like the same Billy whatsoever. She calls other band members. They're not talking to her in the same way. They don't know where Billy is. So that kind of build into Camilla literally getting her bag. Woman is 7 months pregnant, going to wherever they are and finding Billy in the van with 2 other women was something that was very effective. I think they could have done a little bit more showing the addiction and the alcoholism, but I think that's going to be focused on Daisy Jones, and it would have been odd to show both. So I kind of get that, but it worked and it broke my heart. And then when Camilla gave birth to their daughter, Billy wasn't there. So instead, Teddy Price said, listen, I'm going to take you to rehab instead. Get clean. That's how you're going to meet your daughter, because Billy was terrified. He didn't want his baby girl to see him like that. And he doesn't know how to approach fatherhood. And I think that was just so heartbreaking. But the fact that he wanted to get straight, get sober, and meet his daughter after he was sober and had his head on straight, I think that is just a beautiful thing for him to grow as a person and as a character in the show. And I love that. As that happens, Daisy is still trying to, to keep herself afloat. She does performances. She doubts herself, though. That's the thing. She doesn't think she's that good, and she wants that reassurance. She wants other people to give her that satisfaction. And that's why she wants to become an artist, to share her work, to connect with people, to have other people listen to her record over and over and over again, and then make another one. That's what she wants. That's her dream, because she feels like she can connect to people. Her own struggles she wants to put out there with these songs and have people listen and understand and appreciate her as an artist. Her struggling with her identity a bit was important to show. Again, I think that Daisy kind of took a back seat in the second episode, and it's all about like Billy, which is technically what happens in the book. It's really Billy heavy, really Camilla heavy. So in the third episode, which is the best episode and my favorite episode, because I live for tension. I live for, those small glances and, the touches and, just having two people connect with each other instantly. Like, you could feel that their souls connected in this. And Teddy Price had a great idea to get the Six back on the label's good side after canceling the tour, because Billy had to get better and, he had to raise his daughter. He wasn't going to go back to the band at all. So a bit of a struggle here and there. Camilla's like, you can do both. You can do this. I came here with you and we're going to the top. Like, you're going to start singing again. You're going to make an album. And Teddy showed the song that he wrote called Honeycomb to the label, and they're like, it wasn't that great. So then Teddy Price by himself, out of his own pocket, booked a session, called up Daisy Jones, called the band, called Billy's, like, we are going to work on this song. You guys are going to do a duet. And without telling Billy, Daisy rewrote the lyrics to Honeycomb, and Billy obviously doesn't like that because he's like, it's perfect the way it is. Why are you trying to change things? But more importantly, we get the first interactions between Daisy and Billy, and Daisy just fell for Billy. She's very sweet to him. She's so nice to him, but Billy's just completely off put by everything that Daisy is, because she doesn't care. She's very nonchalant, as I said, but she's so good at what she does that he's blown away by her, and kind of blown away by the audacity that she would change the song. He thinks it was perfect the way it is. They kind of have a little argument, and then there's offhanded comments made towards each other. But Daisy keeps it really composed because she is the new one coming into this recording, But when they sing together, it's bloody magic. Teddy Price was watching from the booth and he's just staring at them. But when you watch, Riley and Sam at one microphone singing to each other, answering each other with the callbacks within the song, there is an instant connection to these two. And it's crazy. It's crazy. It's you struck gold with the two of them. That's that's literally what listening to Honeycomb felt like. And then after that, Daisy goes home, goes to Simone. She's like, that was probably the best day of my life. I was in the recording studio. It was a good time. It was a good vibe, but mainly because she met Billy. And then Billy's on the phone with Camilla, and the editing here is really important. So when Billy's on the phone with Camilla, he's thinking about her vocals and thinking about Daisy. And he isolated Daisy's vocals in the booth, closed his eyes and listened to her. So there's the beginning of something there. And he tells Camilla that was the worst day ever. It was just so crappy. I'm devastated. It was one of the worst days ever. They butchered my song, blah, blah, blah. He did the opposite. And I loved it. I love the first 3 episodes. I think it's moving at a very strong pace, and I can't wait to watch the rest. Right now, I'm going to give the first 3 episodes kind of a different ranking. I think the first episode was at a 7.5 out of 10. The second episode was probably at an 8 out of 10. And then the third episode was at a 9 out of 10. So it is getting better. And I love that. And I can't wait to watch the rest. Riley Keough and Sam Claflin are absolutely fantastic. You're gonna love Daisy and Billy together. It is just one of the most wild relationships. And the one thing that Taylor Jenkins Reid said in her book is that when you have feelings for someone, they can manifest into very different things. So you can manifest it into lust, to love, or to hatred. And that's what is literally shown between Daisy Jones and Billy Dunn. And it broke my heart because that's what ends up happening. You could love someone so much, but you can't face it, and it turns into something else. So I absolutely love the book by Taylor Jenkins Reid. It is my first 5-star that I have given in a very long time on Goodreads. I'll drop the link below if you guys want to follow. If you guys enjoyed the first 3 episodes of Daisy Jones and the 6, please let me know in the comments below. If you gave the book by Taylor Jenkins Reid like 5 stars, let me know. Let me know all about Daisy Jones. I absolutely love this book. I'm gonna love this series. Riley and Sam are fantastic, but like Camila Moron is like gorgeous. I absolutely love her in this. She's such a powerhouse and I'm just obsessed with her. Suki Waterhouse is great and so is Will Harrison. The whole cast, principal cast, they're just so good. But if you guys enjoyed this review, please like and subscribe. You can always follow me over at AMX NDA Reviews on Twitter, Instagram, and Letterboxd. I'll catch you guys next time. Keep watching movies.